So here we're going to review of the Dita Dream XLS. This is a single dynamic driver IEM by Dita. It retails for around $2,200 to $2,300 when it was for sale. Right now it is discontinued, but you can still find some used every once in a while. So let's get into this. First, let's open this here. So I am not in my usual recording area right now. So currently I'm in a recording situation where if I touch something the wrong way, everything will collapse. That is why I am moving maybe in a little bit of a strange way, and the lighting may be a little bit different. Alright, move the box off to the side here. As you can see, very gorgeous looking yet simple gold and black box. I do like really how this is packaged here. I'm also going to be very careful because this is a very expensive set of IEMs, and this is not going to be staying with me, so I will have to be very careful here. And as you can see in the box here, we have the IEMs, cable, service pack here. We'll cover that in a second. We'll take the IEMs out with the cable here. Alright, take this out here. We do have some foam tips. I do not use foam, so they have not really been touched. I'm going to take this out here. If I can get this out. Let's, come on. Come on, there we go. So this comes with two cases, which is nice. As you can see, I just lightly touched my stand here, and the entire thing just shook. Come on, get out of there. Get out. It's hard to pull these out here. There we go, without damaging the cardboard. It's a very big box too. Take this out here, and we can move on this to the side here. It has some fancy stuff underneath, but otherwise not important. But it is nice that it has a very nice unboxing experience at this crazy $2,300 price point. Everything better be very fancy. Anyway, so first let's get this service card thing out of the way. It is really cool for, something of this price. Has like a little metal card here with, verification of the purchase and stuff like that, and some paperwork that we don't care about, but I'm not throwing to the side this time like usual. Put this to the side here. Nice and gently. Alright, so let's take the soft case out here real quick. Soft case, I mean, it's like it says, soft case. It's kind of just a regular case here. No big deal. It is nice that it comes with a soft and hard case for, the people who want, something just regular to put in your pocket and something for travel. I remember the hard case. Yeah, here we go. Come on, get out of there. The soft case is nice and the hard case is decent quality as well, but I did wish that this hard case was a little bit, harder. I wish it was something much more firm, something that can't be done like this. But otherwise, it's fine. It is a nice case overall. It is not too big, so overall, fine accessories. And at this price, it better be nothing short of, at least be fine, but I wish it was a little bit more it was harder for more protection, because this is crazy expensive to me. Anyway, so let's take this out here. We do have some tips. We have these tips, which remind me a lot of Final E tips, but they are not. They're, I think, Dita tips, if I'm not mistaken. And then we have these tips, which are the ones I use for this review. Let me get this out here real quick. Wait, I think it was these ones right here. I did use both, and I found that these ones, I know I'm taking it out with the plug, which is kind of weird, but I can't get these out with my hands. So I'm going to be talking about these tips real quick. I mean, not real quick. For the sound here, for the most part, I liked the sound on the Final tips as well, but I prefer the sound on these. So we're going to be talking about these and another set of tips in this review. It is a modular cable, so we have the other terminations here, and in here we have extra filters for the ends of the IEM, which is nice because with something this expensive, if some gunk builds up in there, you can just change out the filters, so that's nice. Alright, so now let's talk about the cable. It is using normal 2-pin, and it is it's not a very nice cable. It's a very decent cable. I almost said very nice when I don't think it's very, very nice. It's okay. I don't think this is the type of, malleability I would like in a cable at this price. I wish it was a little bit more soft, a little bit more supple, but it is a okay cable with okay build quality. The connectors are nice. I do like the connectors, and you do get 4.4, 3.5, and 2.5. All right, let's put this cable off to the side. Sorry about the lighting, it is not great. Anyway, so now on to the IEMs, the build and comfort themselves. So, let me get a microfiber cloth here because these are fingerprint magnets. These are made of full titanium, and the front is made of, I think, sapphire glass, I'm not sure, but it is a gorgeous set of IEMs. It is like the fingerprints are really hard to avoid on the camera here, but in person it is not as visible. It is gorgeous. You have this like gold trim on a full titanium shell, I believe titanium. These actually, fact that at least that's on the Dita site is I believe these are made in a watchmaking factory because regular factories they claim do not have enough good enough tolerances for the manufacturing. And yeah, overall, I think that the looks are probably the best looking IEM, or second to the Boulder, or equal to the Boulder in Boulder 2 in looks. I think these are a gorgeous IEM. As for comfort, as I've said many times on this channel, my ears are quite small, so these fit in my ears very well. But I have heard some people complain that these are a little bit too small, or the fit is a little bit too shallow for their ears. For me, since I have small ears, it is fine. But for some people, they are too small for their ears, so that is something to have note. If you have very big ears, might become an issue. It is up to you, to the person's ears. So let's talk about the sound, what you're actually here for. I'm going to bring in right away, just so you know how good these are, I'm going to bring in my favorites right now. We have the Dunu Zen Pro, we have the Dita Project M, and we have the SR8 by Rhyme, and we have the BGVP Phantom. These are some of my favorite IEMs right now, and I want to talk about the comparisons, as well as I want to talk about the tips. Tips change everything with this IEM. It is a very tip-dependent set, and that's not a bad thing, because if you have a problem with a certain sound, it is great to be able to just try a different set of tips and get a different sound, but it still keeps its main characteristics, its beautiful tonality, and its overall great dynamic bass. I did try these. The main tips I'm going to be talking about is the Asla Sednafit ASMR tips, I believe these are called. The Elatec Baroque tips. And I don't have them on me right now, but I also tried Spiral Dots. And then also these gray version of the stock tips. So, let's talk about the difference between the tips actually real quick, before I go into bass, mids, highs. Overall, I think I liked the Baroque tips the most because it tamed a little bit of the treble. The treble can get a little bit spicy for me on the gray tips, and on the other tips I just realized I got two of different sizes. Just pretend they're the same size. But overall, I think that the treble can get a little bit spicy on these tips, and this helped quell that little bit of spiciness very well. However, even in the end, I found the treble to be a touch too much for me, though I am particularly, I think, treble sensitive, and I have said this in many of my reviews, that for me, treble can get peaky very easily, and these did bother me a little bit in the treble more than the Project M. However, the treble is fine. I will say, let's go bass, mids, highs here. And we'll get back to the treble. So, as for the bass is dynamic, punchy, and excellent overall bass. Depending on the tips you use, it will be balanced or recessed. It will never be too much. I've never experienced with any tip on these too much bass. With the ASMR tips, you do get a recessed bass, but a very forward mid-range. And so if you want a very forward mid-range, and these have a beautiful mid-range, ASMR tips. But for the Elatec, the Baroque, and the stock, I found the bass to have a dynamic punch, good texture, yet nothing too pronounced though. It's not going to give you some kind of, head-shaking bass that the SR8 does, where it's, very, very hard-hitting and very pronounced in the track. The bass can be pretty much classified as similar to the bass on the Project M, or maybe on the Zen Pro, but with a little bit more quality to it. I think that it's a higher quality bass than the Zen Pro, but around the same amount, maybe a little bit more than the Zen Pro. I like the amount of bass on here. I think it's a balanced amount of bass without being too much, and it's not too low. Now let's go on to the mid-range. The mid-range is my favorite part of this set. I love the mid-range. The vocals are smooth, crystal clear, really excellent detail. Overall, the mid-range is rich, the timbre is natural, and it's an addictive mid-range. Vocals are, this gets very fingerprinty very fast, but the vocals are clear, gorgeous, addictive. They are fantastic in producing vocals. I really cannot recommend this enough for vocals, and instruments sound fantastic as well. Natural, yet very detailed, very clear, never sounding sterile. It has a little bit of a warm tint to it, ever so slightly, but not at the cost of any detail. It's ever so slightly warm, but I wouldn't call this a warm set. Now, going on to the treble. The treble is where I think these are a little bit lacking. I won't say it's bad treble, definitely not. But this is not a treble I would expect at a price range of $2,300. This is a treble that I'd expect maybe in a mid-range $500 set, maybe something a little bit lower in the price range, because I think this treble is just not refined. It has slight peakiness in certain areas of the treble. Every once in a while, maybe a clap or something like that will get a little bit peaky every once in a while. And honestly, I would expect more refinement in the treble. I can understand it a little bit, being that this is a single dynamic driver set. However, I don't get these peaks on the Dunu Zen Pro, for example. I think that it is ever so slightly more than the Project M's treble. And the Project M is where I would say that's the max. After that, it's going to become too much treble for me. And so, but that's just my ears. However, I think that it also could be just more refined overall, not just in the fact that it is peaky, but I think that the quality could be a little bit better. It's not bad quality. It's definitely not bad quality. And it's not a deal breaker for this set. However, for me, I think at this cost, I expect a little bit higher refinement in the treble. Now, let's talk about imaging and soundstage. This is where these things truly shine and are really shocking. Soundstage-wise, these are the widest I've heard, or at least tied for it. Now, I've said this before about the Phantom. The Phantom had the widest stage. This is equal to or a little bit more than the Phantom in terms of staging, and same with the Project M. This is a little bit more than the Project M, I'd say, in terms of width. It is very wide, but it's not as tall as the Zen Pro. It doesn't give you that grand size the Zen Pro gives you. However, it's a very wide sound, and it's very immersive with great depth. I'd say the only things I've heard with maybe a little bit better depth perception in terms of the sound would be the Project M or the EJ07. And that's high praise, though, for these, because the Project M and the EJ07 are the best depths I've heard, period. These have great depth, though. Honestly, one of the most rich-sounding, deep-sounding IEMs with that extremely wide stage. It creates a very immersive sound that I haven't seen in other sets. Very, very, very good imaging and soundstage. Pinpoint location. Everything is gorgeous about the soundstage and the imaging. You don't get that height that you get on the Zen Pro, but I think that's really just a Zen Pro thing. I haven't seen it in many other sets, so that's why I like the Zen Pro so much. Very unique presentation on the Zen Pro. But overall, fantastic width and imaging. Now let's do more direct comparisons with these are some of my favorite sets. And one of the reasons why it's hard for me to recommend the XLS. The main reason it's hard for me to recommend the Dita Dream XLS after all of that praise is that the Project M gets just too close to the quality of these for me. Now, I'd say the detail retrieval and the quality of the mid-range is better on the XLS. You do get a better mid-range overall, in my opinion, in terms of detail and also timbre of the mid-range. However, the Project M gets very close, really close, and it's like 1/10 of the price. You just cut off a zero. It's ridiculous. You remove a zero and you get the Project M's price, and so that's a little bit ridiculous to me. That you can get so close in terms of not just the mid-range. The bass is not almost as good. I'd say this is a good improvement in the quality of the bass on the XLS. However, it's not 10 times better. It's maybe 2 times better. And a lot of people are willing to pay that high price for 2 times better. However, I think that overall the sound is too close for me to recommend the set overall. The soundstage, though it is wider on the XLS, is still extremely wide on the Project M, to the point where I'd say it's very close in terms of soundstage width. And imaging is also very close on the M to this. I think imaging is really excellent on the Project M, which again makes it hard for me to say that the XLS is a worth it set. However, I do think that the Dream has overall still very, very, very good presentation, and it is still unique compared to the M in terms of immersion. I don't know how to explain it. I think it's a timbre thing. It's more of a timbre thing. The timbre in tandem with the soundstage and the imaging creates a bit of immersion you don't get with the M, but the M gets very close, which is makes it very hard to recommend the XLS. So I think that Dita kind of shot themselves in the foot if these were released at the same time. But since these are not released, I guess it doesn't hurt them, but still. Now, comparing with the Zen Pro, I think that the Zen Pro, again, has that height advantage in terms of the stage. However, this is a lot wider than the Zen Pro and has better imaging than the Zen Pro. However, I think that the Zen Pro has a better timbre than this. I love the timbre on the Zen Pro. The Zen Pro is a gorgeous timbre, but these have a little bit of more note weight in that stage, which is something that I do miss out on when I'm comparing it with the Zen Pro. Also, I forgot to mention, what was I going to say? Oh yeah, I'm going to talk about bass real quick. Bass quality, again, is better on the XLS than the Zen Pro. Oh yeah, now I remember. The treble is also, I prefer it on the M than the XLS, though it still can get a little bit peaky on the M. The peakiness of the treble in the XLS was to the point where that is why I'm letting them go. It is not severe, it is not horrible. However, at this price point, I don't want to compromise on the treble. Where I can compromise on the treble at this price point, I can't compromise on the treble at this price point. Anyway, back to the Zen Pro. The Zen Pro, I prefer the treble on the Zen Pro over the XLS. I think it's more refined on the Zen Pro. I think that I really get great detail retrieval out of the treble on the Zen Pro without ever having sibilance, which is why, or peakiness, which is why I'd say the Zen Pro does treble better. Bass, ever slow slight edge to the XLS. Mid-range wise, it is, I'd say, a different presentation, but equal in quality, with better detail retrieval on the XLS, but better timbre and a overall brighter sound on the Zen Pro. I think the Zen Pro is a brighter set. Same thing also with the M. The M doesn't have that warm tinge that I was talking about compared to the XLS. Now, it's not big enough to be a huge difference in presentation, but it is something noticeable and enjoyable, in my opinion, on the XLS, since I prefer warmer sounding sets. Now, let's move on to compare to the SR8. The SR8 is a completely different sounding IEM. Not even close, to be honest. So it is hard to do a comparison, so I'll just do real quick. Overall, it is the SR8 gives you a thicker sound with less stage. I'd say the imaging is better on the XLS. Overall, if you want something more technical, the XLS will destroy the SR8. However, the SR8 is more of a fun, punchy, very energetic sound, and that you just don't get with the XLS. The XLS is a little bit more laid back. Not a laid back sound, definitely something that is engaging, but the SR8 is very in your face, very much energetic, and very, very different sound than the XLS. I don't think that you are choosing between these two. I think that these two are very different sounding sets. Now let's talk about the Phantom. I think the Phantom, also very similar to the Project M, gets very close in terms of stage and presentation. However, I'd say that the immersion and the timbre is better on the XLS than the Phantom. The Phantom does not have as good of a timbre as the XLS does. However, I think the bass is more impactful and more tight on the Phantom than it is on the XLS. The XLS has a little bit... It's not bad or fantastic bass still on the XLS. However, the Phantom has some of my favorite bass on any IEM that's not the SR8. The SR8 is a different kind of bass, very intense, very pronounced. But in terms of a balanced sound, this has some of the best bass in a balanced sounding set. And it does outperform the bass on the XLS in my opinion. Mid-range though, vocals are better on the XLS than the Phantom. The Phantom has a bit of a smaller note weight in terms of the vocals, and it's a little bit more pushed back. This has a little bit of a more forward vocals, but not. This is not a forward vocal set. This still has the vocals take a center stage. However, the Phantom pushes it back a little bit. This has it a little bit more forward than the Phantom, with a thicker note weight and overall more rich sounding vocals and instruments. So I think in terms of, if you're listening to classical or something with a lot of instruments, instrumental music, the XLS will beat out the Phantom, no comparison. In terms of the treble, I think the treble is kind of equivalent in quality, maybe more refinement on the Phantom, more refinement on the Phantom, and more detail retrieval on actually the Phantom in terms of the treble. I think the treble is outperforming the XLS a little bit on the Phantom. But overall, though, I think the XLS is a fantastic set, and I can recommend it to people who have a little bit more of a treble tolerance than I do. And I think it is also a very fun set in terms of just owning it, because the tips change the sound so much. If you want more forward vocals, you can go with the ASMR tips. If you want to tone down the treble, this is something I did. If you want the treble to be heavily toned down to a point where even I enjoyed the treble, you can get spiral dots. They fix the treble on these. However, it restricts the stage a little bit, makes it more intimate. But I didn't want that, because I found the stage and the immersion of the set in terms of the stage and imaging to be probably the strongest point of this set. One of the most incredible presentations is this set. This has a beautiful presentation of the sound. Baroque tips were probably my favorite here. Very balanced sound. The original gray tips gave you a really wide, even more wide sounding stage than the Baroque tips, but gave you a little bit of peakiness. But however, if you have that treble tolerance, these tips can give you an amazing sound. I wish I had the treble tolerance to be able to use these for long periods of time on these tips. So overall, can I recommend this set? If you're looking for an endgame single dynamic with probably the best stage and imaging you can get, I think this is a fantastic choice. These are an absolutely fantastic sounding set. Now, a caveat I forgot to mention at the beginning of the video. These tend to scuff up for a lot of people if you let them hit each other. So I recommend when storing these to try to keep the two IEMs separate from each other, because if you look in the reflections, maybe you can see a little bit of scuffing, very slight, because I tend to try to keep very good care of my IEMs. These do scuff though on the paint when they hit each other, so try to keep these separated from each other. They're expensive, and I'm sure I don't need to tell you that. I mean, like, these are an expensive set, and sadly, the coating and the paint job, I don't know, that the Dita has done on this set did not allow them to be very scratch resistant, and I think that that's a big downfall and mistake on Dita's part. I think that you should make these more scratch resistant at this price point, because I don't get these scratched, even though, as you can see, they are touching each other because they are very magnetized. They will magnetize to each other. These, though, they don't do that, so that's good. But these do scratch easy, so be careful with these if you do get them. Can I recommend them? Absolutely. I think these are a fantastic sounding set, though for me, I prefer actually the sound of the Project M. Overall, I can't really take, I'm letting go of these because that treble is a bit too much for me. But can I recommend this set to people who can tolerate that treble? Absolutely. Fantastic sounding set. That's about it. See ya.